AI in Tanzania. As part of my work with Data Governance in Africa initiative, we are all about driving social innovations, which we call DSIs, that sparks real economic and social changes cross-continent. And our goal is obviously to create human-centric, development-focused data economy that benefits everyone. We've been working with some amazing startups and SMEs in sub-Saharan Africa, including Tanzania. And we just recently had a call for proposal called Think Like an Investor, looking for 10 projects that are in stage of scalability, and we had actually most applications coming from Tanzania. So that, I think, alone shows that the big potential and big players that are from Tanzania. Today, we will be exploring the state of play for digital innovations and AI in solving social and economic challenges in Tanzania. We have some great speakers, panelists, that will discuss how the government can scale these innovations for a broader national impact. So, without further delay, I would like to introduce our first speakers. So please get ready to be inspired by our first two speakers, coming all the way from beautiful land of Italy with pasta and Parmesan, and I think Ferrari also comes from your region, from Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. Please welcome Valeria. Valeria Bandini, who is basically the queen of connecting the dots in innovation world. She is the head of the Europe and Internalization area at Arthur, and she's been working her magic for over 30 years, right? That's a long time. And we will be today talking about innovation ecosystem with European and global networks. Please, Valeria, welcome. Maybe a little applaud after lunch. Yeah, there we go. And from the same organization, Sara de Torre, did I say it right? Yeah, the project manager. Sara is here to talk about Emilia-Romagna's digital agenda and something called Data Valley Common Good, which sounds like a kind of a place where data is as valuable as gelato, maybe? Please welcome Sara.
Thank you very much. This here, and I hope that the presentation is going to start. First, I would like to thank the organizers and distinguished guests here in the room, and the one who possibly have to enter, for having invited me. It's a great pleasure for me to be here and to share with you the experience we have in Emilia-Romagna, in Italy. You will understand in a while where it is. It's a kind of small region, but Sara will say 2 words about that. The first thing I would like to say, and now I try to see if this works. I try again. No? Yes. So I'm happy to share with you this picture. That is a picture of the delegation that we received last April in Bologna. There's somebody in the picture that you may recognize. He's busy talking at the moment here in front, but it's not a problem. And I would say that it was our first, in fact, you are there. It was our first the starting somehow of the dialogue with the Tanzanian friends. And we are happy that what you see and what the delegation heard about in Emilia-Romagna was interesting, and also for that, possibly we are here. And I'd like to pass the floor to Sara.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sara, and I work in Arthur. I just wanted, oh, no, yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to show where our region is. We are basically in the middle of Europe, in northern Italy. Maybe you haven't heard about Emilia-Romagna before, but I'm pretty sure that you know something about Emilia-Romagna. We have been nominated, let's say, as the first Italian region for innovation and the first Italian region for exports. So it means that as a regional government and as actors in the region, we invest a lot in research and development as well as internationalization. And I was saying that you probably already know Emilia-Romagna because we are quite known in some specific economic sectors, in particular automotive, manufacturing, and food. We actually host some of the most famous companies in these sectors, such as Ferrari, Ducati, Lamborghini, or Barilla. I guess you know about pasta. And here you have a short understanding of other important sectors of our region. Of course, companies are not innovating and internationalizing by themselves, but they belong to an innovation ecosystem, to an ecosystem which we call innovation ecosystem, and part of this regional ecosystem are universities. We have the oldest university in the world, which is the University of Bologna, but also we built our regional ecosystem as a network because we do have different actors supporting research and innovation, such as accelerators or other associations or research laboratories. And actually one of the main characteristics of our region is the fact that we are kind of used to collaborate a lot. Like all these actors are most of the time working together in order to promote territorial development. So I go on, yes. Oh, something happened in the slide, but another sector in which we are investing a lot in, I would say, in the last 20 years is, of course, the sector, if we can call it like that, of big data, artificial intelligence. And we, as said, started investing in data, and we consider them as an asset for the territorial development and as a new product for the territorial development. We are actually implementing as a regional government this vision, and we see data as a means to generate sustainable development, participation and democracy, but at the same time, of course, competitiveness and excellence. So that's why in the recent years we write this regional data strategy that basically says that we want to make Emilia-Romagna as a data valley, as a common good, which at the same time basically is built in two pillars. Emilia-Romagna, a valley for excellence in order to promote advanced and technological and innovation solution, but at the same time we think that data could be a part of the strategy for inclusiveness to guarantee equal opportunities to all citizens and territory. We do have one actor implementing this, this strategy, which is Digital Agenda of Emilia-Romagna. Actually is the main planning element in order to foster and guide digital and technological and social innovation. It's a planning that we build every 5 years according to each legislative mandate. Our digital agenda is basically built around 8 challenges that we're trying to face, to reply to these challenges. I'm going just to underline 4 of these challenges, and I think that these kind of challenges are similar, of course, to the ones here in Tanzania or in the European Union. We're all facing basically the same challenges. For example, the first one we are trying to collective intelligence data available to the territory. We put some objectives in the strategy to promote a data-driven approach, and we try to implement this objective, this strategy through some projects, some concrete projects. For example, 2 of them are going to be part of this session. For example, the first one is ER2Digit, which is the European Digital Innovation Hub based in Emilia-Romagna. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Vera, which is our digital twin on air quality. But we do also have an HPC, for example, just for public administration data. So we are using, we do own as a regional government an HPC used for our data. Another challenge, of course, is digital skills, and we mention a lot the skill topic here. We would like to spread digital skills and awareness, basically, in all the, well, starting from primary school until universities. We actually launched this program, Digitale Facile, which means that we have different points in the region, in the territory, that helps people to approach digitalization. But also we are organizing some events in order to spread awareness. One of them is after. But also talking about skills, for example, the universities of our region are actually collaborating together in order to put some artificial intelligence and big data classes in all, basically I would say in every major we do have. I'm trying to go faster. So as here in Tanzania, we do have a problem or a challenge to try to bridge digital divide and to bridge territories that are quite far away from digitalization. In our case, is mountains, for example. So we created digitally communities, and also we are promoting the digital agenda as at the local level, so supporting local governments for formalization of their own strategies. And I'm almost done. We started this conference talking about women and tech and digitalization, so we are, as you are doing, we are trying to consolidate gender equality using data and involving female participation in the Data Valley environment. We run, again, some initiatives, summer camps, training, orientation workshop in order to spread awareness and to sensibilize our region, but I would say also on a national level to this topic. And now I'll leave the floor to Valeria, who is actually telling us more about this initiative. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. You have already mentioned, Sarah has already mentioned the ER2Digit project, and I'm proud to share some information about it with you. It's an example of an initiative that is promoted by the European Commission. So it is in the framework of the European Union policies for empowerment, let's say, on digital technologies. And digital innovation hubs, as you see, are facilities, support facilities to help public administrations and companies in their digital transitions. And they are facilities offering services and creating connections among the different actors that have to be involved and have to be part of the digital transformation of our society. You see there's some numbers, and the ER2Digit initiative is one of the 151 digital innovation hubs in Europe. I don't go through the numbers, but just to give evidence to the fact that in Europe we value a lot also the start of new initiatives based on actors already in the territory, as it is the case for ER2Digit project. You see in the bottom line the partners, the main actors that are working on this project. In fact, ARTER is the agency I work for. It is an innovation and development agency, and we take care of somehow involving all relevant actors working together for the digital transition of Emilia-Romagna. Cineca has been mentioned this morning, is a consortium, a national consortium, having the most relevant computing capacity in Italy, and I would say beyond. Cineca is hosting and managing the Leonardo HPC, so they are the ones taking care of the infrastructure and in fact, also designing and developing a possible application with data, and also, let's say, serving the interest of both public administration and companies, as we heard this morning. Then we have Lepida. Lepida is another relevant actor in Emilia-Romagna. They are the in-house company dedicated to digital infrastructures. So they are the ones who take care of connectivity in the region. And they design and develop services for the public administration, but also for citizens. And in fact, joining forces, we were able to create a new initiative and also to get the support from the European Union to develop the different activities. As you can see there, we are connecting at the regional level, we are connecting at the European level, and we are focusing on some specific services with high technological content, of course. First and foremost, the test before invest service, where mainly the technological actors are active and let's say at the center. Then we have training services. That is always very key. I mean, skills is an issue that in our region comes first, I would say, whenever we start a new initiative or whenever we work and invest on the development of new sectors or new technologies. Then there's a set of services dedicated to, let's say, search for funding and investment sources, because both public authorities and companies need money at the end to implement their initiatives, their services, and also to incorporate new technologies in their daily activities. And last but not least, we offer a service enabling to connect the demand and the offer of new technologies and to connect big and small companies that are offering a new solution to the public administration. And it's a function of managing the ecosystem that we value a lot, because it helps to add value to the single elements that we have in the region. As I said, ER2Digit is a European initiative. I would like to give evidence to the fact that it is a kind of process at the moment. We started working on it last year based on the capacities and the infrastructures and the services already there, but upgrading what we offer to our territory and to our public and private actors. So it's a kind of process that we are developing, also taking into consideration that we work on technologies that are moving and developing and changing very fast. And in fact, you see there the three main actors in the center that are the ones developing the activities, but you see also the high technology network, that is the network of industrial research laboratories that we have in the region based on universities and research centers, because, I mean, the three main partners of the project cannot meet all the needs that may emerge. So the idea is also to mobilize all the competencies in the region. And we have the stakeholders, the regional stakeholders in the region that are public authorities, companies, but also citizens, because the ambition of this project is really to meet the need and the, let's say, the development potential of the different actors. mobilizing, as I was saying, all capacities that we can count on. We have, of course, a technology focus that, as you can imagine, is on AI, big data, and high-performing computing. And the target groups, as you may have understood, is the local authorities, both the regional government, but also the municipalities and other public entities that are in our region, as well as companies, big, but particularly small and medium companies. We are focusing very much on companies that are developing services or products or solutions for the public administration. So you see there a list of sectors that have to do in one way or another with the public sectors, as I'm saying. Yeah, the impact of ER2Digit regards the overall, the capacity to make improvements, let's say, in terms of developing new products and solutions at the end, for serving the needs of citizens, because we address very much the public administration capacity to offer service and to manage the public goods, let's say, activating the capacities of companies able to develop that kind of service and projects. Then skills development, as I was saying earlier, and increase the funding dedicated to the digital transition, looking for funds outside the region, in Europe, but also looking for potential investors that may come and provide resources for the new challenges that we would like to take. And last but not least, connect further the ecosystem. I mean, Shirin, you were saying that we connect the dot. Yes, this is not only in me, it's the region that is very much based on collaborative efforts. And I'm just to the end. Yeah, this is, the service catalog. As I was saying, it's a process, so it's a kind of living catalog with a set of services that are supposed to be updated, let's say, during the time to meet the challenges that are collected through a process of calls, let's say, that make emerge the needs. There you can see some of the activities carried out by the single partners, but more than that, I would like to give evidence to the fact that, again, I repeat it, it's a collective effort, and it's a matter of, let's say, supporting the collaboration between the private sector and the public sector to serve the needs of citizens. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah and Valeria. A lot of very interesting and impressive work you've been doing in Italy, and we're really looking forward to hear more once we get into panel discussion. So next up, we have Kevin Ramirez, Climate and Earth Observation Manager at Climate KISS, Europe's leading climate innovation agency. For the past 6 years, Kevin has been leading a project using AI and digital innovation to tackle climate change. Please welcome Kevin with me with some applause. Can I hear some more? Yeah, thank you.
Hello, thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you very much for the opportunity of being in your lovely country. It's my first visit to Tanzania, and I'm highly impressed, and I think the element that I will highlight the most is the warmth of the people. I think this is something that needs to be acknowledged and is highly appreciated for people like me that come to your country for the first time. And we notice it everywhere, from the people serving lunch, the ones making coffee. So I have to really acknowledge that so far it's been wonderful, and I'm sure the future encounters with colleagues is going to be reinforcing that element of wonderful people here in Tanzania. So thank you very much for that. And to say a little bit about what we do, KIC is an organization focused on systemic innovation on climate change. As you know, climate change is the most critical problem that we are facing. You have seen what has happened in the US. We've seen what happens in the summers in Europe when we see recurring fires, floodings at the same time. And I think this is a commitment, and it's more than a job. In my case, it's a mission to provide certain solutions and a contribution to the problem. We do it specifically on leveraging the use of satellite information, the observation data, and how we make sure that this data is actually used by regions, countries, and I think that's our main mission, and I hope we can build bridges and we can allow collaboration that actually bring the value to Tanzania and to make the country more resilient and a better place, better prepared to deal with the challenges of climate change.
Thank you, Kevin. Last but not least, we have finally would like to welcome Essa Muhammad Ali, founder of Tanzanian AI community. And I mean, with that surname, Muhammad Ali, I mean, I have to make a joke, no? Essa has been basically working with the AI community and especially with the national and regional policies like Tanzania's national AI strategy. Please welcome Muhammad Ali with me. No punches, just only AI.
Thank you so much. Yes, I am blessed with the name of Muhammad Ali in all of its ways, and I have taken up a little bit of boxing. I'm not good at it, but we try. So a quick introduction, I'm from the AI community in Tanzania. We're essentially a community of practice that's been around since 2019. We were here before ChatGPT, and we've been very excited to have the opportunity to work with the different ministries in Tanzania on supporting AI policy, AI strategy development for both Tanzania, through the Ministry of ICT, through the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, and the Ministry of Health as well, and had the honor of working with Nigeria on their national policy and working more focused on building AI products in the market right now, of which they're all open source, and we're looking at how to continue engaging the ecosystem and building more practical and scalable solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. We can start the panel discussion.
Can I ask the media team to pull up the Mentimeter, please?
Yeah, so we thought just before going into the panel discussion, just to get you guys engaged a little bit, waking you up after lunch. So we have a metrics where we would like to ask you a question. And if you can log into the menti.com on your browsers, and we have a user code on the top of the screen. We'll give you a few seconds, no minute, time to get into that. And we have a question around the topic that what do you think is the biggest barrier to scale digital innovation in Tanzania? Just with a word. Oh, yeah, it does. It's quite small. So the code is 72494535. There seems to be at least one person present. I'm sure it's Muhammad Ali, but you know, I hope a few more will join. So we want to take your opinion about what do you think is the biggest barriers on scaling up digital innovations in Tanzania. It could be from the private sector, it could be from the public sector. Do we have any? 0 responses. I'm I'm going to read out the code one more time, just in case. So the website, oh, knowledge gap, okay, we are getting some up. But yeah, so the code is 72494535. Right, we got resources, knowledge gap, awareness, that's a good one. Resources seems to be taking the lead. Responsible data use. So resources keep on growing. Connectivity, very important. Policies. Digital literacy is also there.
I see some interesting ones like culture. Culture, trust, the affordability of solutions.
I like the fear. That's a very unique but very true. So we're between skills and resources by the looks of it in terms of culture growing even more.
This shouldn't be a biased thing that we said culture, now everyone's writing culture.
Now we'll give a few more seconds. Geomagic. Linked to bureaucracy. I think almost I could relate to that also from my country. Sometimes it is very bureaucratic processes, yeah. Skills. Resources. While it's living progress, we'll turn to our lovely panelists, and we can start with Essa. The skills and knowledge is growing. Do you agree with the results? I mean, you've been with the sector for quite a while, and what do you personally think is the biggest barrier?
So actually, with the way that it's developing, we've been working in the skills space for quite some time. And while it has developed from what it started in 2019, there still is a gap of what we like to call an enterprise approach to development of solutions. And not just within artificial intelligence, but within digital solutions. Because it's one thing to build a solution that serves 10 people, or that sits on my own laptop and I can show it to my friends. And it's a different thing to build a solution that is ready to serve 50,000 people, 100,000 people. The approach we take to it is different. But the opportunities to learn those skills and get that experience is limited in a market where most of our technologies are either imported or our digital solutions are still reaching that level of scale, especially when it comes to emerging technologies. So that foundational skill when it comes to a scaled approach, when it comes to an enterprise approach, is something that we're working on building. But the reality is it requires working with organizations that build scaled solutions. We can't have people working in a startup and expecting them to learn the skill of scale, because the startup has yet to reach the level of scale. And when we talk about digital solutions that are meant to stand beyond the test of time, that are meant to impact large populations, we need that level of thought when it comes to building these types of solutions, whether AI or otherwise.
Thank you. And Kevin, what do you think from your across Africa experience that these are, do you resonate with these, some of the barriers that has been highlighted here?
Well, I have to acknowledge my lack of understanding of the African context. I think it's something that I have been reflecting as we do a lot of work in Europe. And we just started working in countries like Colombia, Philippines, and Tanzania, and other countries. We do talk about the skills gap in Europe. And I think that's something that we need to also consider. There are a lot of struggles and a lot of elements that we are trying to address at European level to understand how we can make effective use of technologies. Specifically, I work on a daily basis with observation data,
and how we make sure that we are equipped to respond to the development of technology. We know that technology does not ask permission for advancement. It goes at its own pace. And we know the policy makers are catching up behind how they try to regulate these new technologies. And by the time they understand, make sense of it, they set up a regulation and the technology has moved on. And I think this is something that we need to acknowledge. It's a challenge that we're facing throughout the world. Artificial intelligence has been used wrongly in many cases. Specifically, for example, an out-of-context example was the case in the US when the judges were used to artificial intelligence to assess the likelihood of someone committed a crime, and they used artificial intelligence to base this assessment. And they found out that people who convicted by the same crime, very similar profiles, ages, are male, coming from the same area, there was only one element that differentiates why one received 2 grading and the other one received 8 on the likelihood of committing the crime again. And that element was the color of the skin of the person. And it's a big lesson. How we train in artificial intelligence, who is making artificial intelligence, who is setting up, what data sources are we collecting and we're relying on to characterize these issues. So we have learned to be cautious about how we use technology, and also we need to make sure that social elements are embedded into the solutions. Discussions with local communities, but not go into a community, ask them to fill in a form, and then we say we've done the local assessment. We make sure the locals are informed. That's not real assessment and participation of locals. We need to challenge these things, because if we keep making decisions in a way that we know better and we impose it on other people, that's why things fail, because we are not taking into consideration the voices of local communities in reality. So I think this is the elements that, instead of providing solutions, I think I noticed that we have a lot of challenges throughout the world to address. So that's a little bit of my impression so far on the use of these technologies.
Thank you very much. So we move on maybe to Italy. Can you relate to some of the questions or some of the barriers that have come up here? Especially, again, skills, knowledge, resources are the 3 top ones that is coming up. And this is something, actually, some of the companies that we work with, you know, in the stage of scalability, resources have been one of the biggest things that always comes up. And localization, of course, the support that is being given. So how do you see the same challenges, barriers in Italy?
Thank you. Yeah, in fact, it's very interesting to see the dimension of the different challenges and skills. It's not, I mean, it is very positive, I would say, that it is the biggest elements that has been highlighted. But yeah, I cannot say, I have to reflect on what I see on the screen, actually. Yeah. One of the first words that came out was policies. Mm-hmm. And also there was willingness that I associate very much with policies. And I think that the policy framework and the policy maker willing to guide somehow the process is very relevant, but must be in a collaborative way. What does that mean? In our experience, we have seen a very strong commitment by the policymaker to invest on that data, when data were just something far away from our territory and local context. But they wanted to, and in fact, they issued also a specific law, a regional law, on big data development, HPC improvement. So the idea was to, I mean, in fact, the idea was to push a lot on that, even though it was not popular at that time. So the policymaker has a strong role on the investment that are needed on infrastructures and that are needed also on the let's say the skills of all people. At the same time, awareness was out also, and that's also a big barrier. As I was saying, when we started talking about these new technologies, it was something that universities and research organizations were already familiar with, but it was not popular, as I was saying. So the capacity also to pass the message to the society on the relevance of these new technologies that are something that we have to face and already we are using every day is very important, I think.
Thank you. I just want to go back to what, Kevin, you said actually earlier about, you know, how by the time a new policy has been introduced, technology has already moved forward. How do you think this is something like, can that be, I don't know, can AI help that? Can there be a solution for that? Because technology is moving so fast. Like, how does the government and policymakers actually keep up?
I think we need to use innovative approaches on consultation process on how we develop policies. I know Thomas was talking about policy sandbox. We're using living labs through something that we call deep demonstrations. And it's a large-scale experiment in which we allow ourselves to fail and to learn in the process of implementation solutions to tackle climate change. We don't know yet a formula to effectively bring solutions to the stakeholders that are in need. What we have is a set of solutions that in certain contexts, they will work. But we need to be given the opportunity to play, to try, to take a stock of what happened, and then to reconsider the approach. So sometimes we set up programs that are very rigid. And I think what we need to do is to have a mindset that is flexible, dynamic, and it responds to the challenges. And I was earlier talking to some colleagues, and I was telling them, do you imagine who is going to insure a property in Miami or in San Francisco, considering the latest trends on climate change? It was already difficult to find insurance. So how climate change is changing the landscape of a whole sector, because they are not going to be able to provide insurance to your asset, to your house. So what is the role of the government? Is the government stepping in and saying, once you have fire or flooding of your property, now we're going to come and compensate you, considering that not private single insurance company is going to do it. And I think these are critical elements that we are seeing responses by nature, and we need to have approaches which mimic. That's why in climate change, in Climate Kick, we talk about systemic innovation, which needs to be responding to a systemic threat that we have. We need to stop working on silos. We need to start putting together our knowledge so the solutions are effective and it makes sense on the crisis that we are seeing, which is multidimensional.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to some of the questions for individual panelists. We'll start with Sarah. So you were talking about earlier about some of the amazing work you've done in Emilia-Romagna region. Do you think some of those practices can be replicated here in Tanzania?
Well, yeah, I have to admit that I'm not an expert on Tanzania, so I don't want to say something that is incorrect. But what I was thinking while reading these words and listening to my colleagues is that, as we previously said, there is one thing that can be easily replicated, the fact that all the actors of the innovation ecosystem, of the ecosystem, generally speaking, have to learn how to cooperate together. Because, I mean, the policymakers can share vision, but they cannot be by themselves. Companies cannot be by themselves, or associations, or universities and research. Even like, for example, the universities cannot be the only actor working on skills and e-skills. Of course, it's something that have to, I mean, it's a challenge, and you need the commitment of the entire society at regional level, but even more at national level. So it's really hard to cooperate, to listen to everybody, and then doing things. But at the end of the day, I think it's the only alternative we have.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, cooperation is very universal and can be replicable. Yeah, please, Valeria.
Shirin, if I may, I'd like to take something that I read there, and I was surprised. And when somebody wrote less research hub, that is odd for a technology that is moving fast, where research is definitely needed. But I like it. In fact, the one who decided to put less research hub may raise his or her hand, but it's not, I mean, compulsory. Just to say that, to me, sounds as it's not a matter of research. If we want to bring these new technologies to the society, it's a matter of trying, as Kevin was saying. It's a matter of having also the courage to be brave enough to try, to test before invest, not in the traditional way of thinking or in the traditional business way of thinking, but thinking that is something that
11 minutes
needs the
left. 11 minutes left.
Thank you.
Okay. It is something that we have to try and to learn together somehow. So it's a matter of making also experiments.
And what about mentality change? Because that's like, that goes back to culture, that goes back to practices, and even as much as you have like policy changes, if you don't have the sort of mentality change, it's very hard to implement, no? Yeah. Thank you. So we were told we have, I guess, 10 minutes now. Muhammad Ali, how can the AI community in Tanzania grow, and what steps are needed to ensure sustainability?
Growth just happens with time. Honestly, it's one of those things that we're not rushing it. We're taking our time to build quality developers, engineers, ethicists, people who consider the development of responsible tools. We take our time with quality development, involving them in the projects and such. When it comes to sustainability, that's a question we're still trying to figure out right now, because we at the moment are a non-profit organization, and we largely focus on impact sectors. And one of the things about impact sectors is we know they're very difficult to commercialize. Impact sectors need a lot of participation. Usually our target user is rarely our customer. The person using the solution is rarely the one paying for the solution. So now we need to find who covers that cost. And are they covering the cost as a product, or more likely with a lot of development partners who are interested in impact, are they covering the cost as a project? A project has an end date. A product is continuous. It develops, it grows. And that's been the mindset that we've been working with and trying to see how can we build within. And one of the strategies we've been exploring is building in the open source. How can we build solutions that the foundations of which others can use and hopefully will exist beyond us, that future organizations, future iterations can benefit and build on top of it, but more so that there will be companies that can pivot from the open source to build commercially viable products. And how do we move from that project mindset to a product mindset in the long term? And exploring other avenues, like why not invest in the startups that are potentially coming out of our community? As we train people, they're going to build products, they're going to have ideas. Can we support them? Can we invest in them? Can we provide them with the resources in kind, compute, mentorship, to be able to grow beyond what could be possible and explore other areas and avenues?
Thank you very much. Because of the shortage of time, I'm going to just quickly, in between the last question, ask if the audience have any question. Any question for the panelists before we move to our last question? Oh, there. Can we have a mic, please?
Thank you very much. My name is Theophilus Mlaki. I'm interested with Mr. Muhammad Ali. I suppose that's your name?
Now it is.
Now it is it? Is it his official name or?
Surname.
Because I tried to ask a question because of that name as well. You know. But I'm trying to think in terms of society in Tanzania, in as far as your program of artificial intelligence, in a society which is not so much on the reading side, in a society which is much on talking and which is vocal based. And whether the programs we make now for AI, whether they give us things which will help us to move forward faster, or whether within the AI we try to do things which will be based on how we ourselves are. This is what I wanted to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should I take that now?
Yeah, go for it.
So that's a very good question and an interesting perspective. And the direction we've been taking with it is building products for sectors which typically they don't have access to this level of digital literacy. So for example, one of the solutions we built was to support community health workers during the process of diagnosing children. So specifically IMCI, Management of Childhood Illnesses. And what we realized is that if we're building tools that allow these people, these community health workers, to access AI, how about we add a component of digital literacy before they use the tool? So before you start using the tool itself, you have to go through a short training on what is AI. What am I about to start using? What is it that we're going to work on? And hopefully then that can make them a lot more conscious on what are they interacting with, what will the shortcomings be, and we're increasing digital literacy significantly. And we have a similar solution for public school teachers to support them in their day-to-day activities. And all of this is being made available over WhatsApp. There was a similar solution being talked about yesterday that we're leveraging WhatsApp because it's a lot more accessible. We don't have to convince someone, oh, download another app, use a website. No, WhatsApp is there, we have the phone numbers and all of that. The next phase is being able to enable voice technology, where people can start to talk. A lot of our culture in Tanzania is based on baraza. We need to sit around, we need to talk over our coffee, our chai, and that's how we start to learn about what's going on. So voice is a very important technology. The storytelling aspect of it is very important in our culture. And that's what we will continue building on.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, and thanks for the answer. One last question, I promise. We are almost on time still. Kevin, we'll start with you, and if everybody can just very, very shortly answer the question, right? How do you think a partnership between government, private sector, and international organizations accelerate adaptation of digital innovations? If you have an example or good advice for Tanzania or generally. So the partnership between private, public, and international organizations support scaling up.
I would say trust is really important. We have, and I think it's important to acknowledge historical elements in the interactions between countries, between Europe and the rest of the world, between the US and the rest of the world. And I think it's important to acknowledge those elements and to make sure that you have real trust. And that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to build. So I would say for any sort of intervention, just make sure that you base it on real trust and real benefit for both parties. There are many examples in which foreign interventions are there not necessarily having in mind the benefit of the recipient country. So that's my key message. I could say more, but that's my key message.
That's very good. Valeria, would you like to answer as well?
I think that I mean, we have to think in terms of partnership necessarily, and the partnership, the private-public partnership, yes, it's, I mean, no comment on that. What about the international dimension of that partnership? I mean, I think that we have, all of us, we have to learn, and we have something to share and to, as I was saying, try and demonstrate if it works or not. So I think that the dialogue and the exchange of experience on what we are trying is something that we have to take care of, I would say.
Thank you. Sarah, do you want to add? Right, then we're going to... No? You're good as well? Okay, well, thank you. So you saved us some time. Thank you so very much to all the panelists for making it, for your presentation, and thank you for the audience for your participation. And I think we're done. Oh, okay, we're going to take a picture. And thank you for the organizers, of course.
Thank you very much, Shireen Namek, for a very good moderation, and thank you for yielding back a few minutes. That will give me more room to call the next moderator, Mr. Theophilus Mlaki, who will have, I'm sure, one presentation, and then I will let him ask a lot of questions just to cover the time given, which is 40 minutes. I'm sure, Mzee Mlaki, you will help us leave before the sun goes down. Karibu sana, Mzee Mlaki.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hear you. Yeah, I was told to come here around midday. Well, they said you come in the morning. I said, I sleep normally in the morning at 8, 9 o'clock. I'm still sleeping. And then they said, okay, you come midday. So I said, fine. I came around midday. And then they said, your session will be after lunch. But after lunch, I normally sleep as well. So this is my sleeping time. So if I get confused on the way, you will all excuse me on this one. Huh? Yeah, we were supposed to have 3 more sessions now, 3 presentations. Sorry, 3 presentations. There's one from Dr. Sarah Magoti. Is Dr. Sarah Magoti here? She's not come in, but she was going to looking at the ways of enhancing employment using emerging technologies. So in her absence, we'll try and work around here, have a little bit discussion on this area, on how we can use technology, emerging technology to enhance employment. Is a big challenge we have in Africa now, or in Tanzania for this matter, on how to make our youth have employment, have things to do, to be able to be productive and work around economic development of the country. The other presentation was to be given by Ruben Joram Mbiha. Ruben Joram Mbiha, is he here? He's going to make about gameplay using AI to transform videograph. Is Ruben Joram Mbiha here? Oh, okay. Then the third one was from Quinton Williams. I think it's from South Africa. They just said that his plane has just landed at Dar es Salaam International Airport. So if we could use artificial intelligence and have his presentation here, that would have been nice, but probably we don't have. So I'm going to be just a moderator, and I'm going to take you all as presenters, as well as discussants, yeah? As well as giving out comments. So I have the privilege of engaging. Can you imagine my friends were only engaging 4 people? I have an opportunity to engage all of you and to ask questions, but also to hear your point of view one by one in this mainly 2 areas, because the last one was going to talk about artificial intelligence in Africa. There were some cases they were using and the challenges. But we know that Muhammad Ali is here. Is he here? Can I call Muhammad Ali again? Is he here? No, he has gone. I wish if we can get him, he will help us to look into this thing of AI in Africa, the challenges. But we can discuss this one as well. So I would like to hear from any one of you who has some knowledge on how much the new technologies, the emerging technologies, have helped Africa, have helped Tanzania to increase employment. Is there anybody who can say 1 or 2 opinion on how much of these technologies has really helped us? If we look at various areas in the financial sector, online working, is there anybody who wants to say something? I see one. I wanted to see more hands. I see one. Another one? I thought you all guys are IT-based, so you could talk about how much employment is coming to it. Another one? Okay, can we hear you? Can you give me the microphone, please, so you can say a little bit on how much this technology, emerging technologies, have helped in employment? He's over there. The guy, Geopasha. Karibu. If you can stand up and say your name, please, that would be good. When you're a moderator, you have an advantage of picking out anybody in the floor and you ask him to say something. So if I don't get a raise of hands, please ensure. Yes, let's, number one, number two, thank you.
Hello, my name is Kalebu. I'm the founder of Sarufi AI. So what we do, we have a platform which helps people to build chatbot without coding. So personally, I would say implemented this myself. I'm a software programmer. I did learn code, and then I built Sarufi, which was an employment for me. But at the same time, with Sarufi, our platform, we managed to really build chapters across universities. We have chapters in more than 15 universities, whereby we create clubs where people are learning about the platform and how they can learn to build bots for themselves, for clients. And we've seen there's a lot of people who go beyond and start actually their own company, and sometimes they start working for other companies, like they consult based on our platform. But at the same time, we also have a platform called Gala, whereby we help SMEs to actually sell on WhatsApp, and it's powering using AI. So in such a way, we're trying to help SMEs to use AI without knowing they're using AI. So I think that's something I think I've seen on my experience, that when you're trying to deploy AI to people, you don't need to tell them that this is AI or I'm trying to use AI, but you just use it to improve the experience in a way that it makes their work easier and simplify. It talks to users. It helps them automate the processes. And in that way, we are increasing that value from AI. Thank you.
All right. So you feel through the approach you have, can you say that the number of people employed in the areas which you are is increasing, or is still remaining constant?
I think there's a huge interest, So I think what people lack is just the first initiate is to start the spark. But when you just give them a way through, this is how you do it, this is how could be the solution, there's a huge interest among young people. By the way, we also host meetup every single month. We've been hosting months about AI from January to September, and this month we're also hosting meetup. And in all our events, there's actually a lot of young people coming to showcase what they've been building, but also we're doing hackathon. So you can see there's huge interest of people trying to embrace this digital solution, imaging solution, because it's an explored sea, and there's a lot of opportunities that you can now employ yourself. And yeah, so I think there's huge interest. I think that's just, we could use a little more push to kind of, just to make sure more people know about this technology and how to utilize them, not from just using ChatGPT, but from actually building solution on top of this platform. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. We have another gentleman here in the middle who can say something about employment, and new technology has enhanced the employment. Can you give the microphone there, please? If you can say your name.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my name is Yusuf Kileo. When I hear about this, this particular topic, I wanted first to clear, we have a notion that most people believe.
Kileo, can I ask you to come to the podium then? You can speak for just a few minutes, and then you can put your points across. Come in the front. Please give him a round of applause. He's one of the speakers now. Karibu. Karibu. Take it here, and I believe sitting now. You see, we're making it. Karibu. Unaweza kidogo alafu.
Thank you very much. Actually, I did not want to come and talk because I think I have my panel tomorrow. But because my father here has asked, so I think I'll take this opportunity to address a little bit. What I wanted to say is that we have a notion, most people have, that probably AI is going to shut down business is going to take away our jobs. But the matter of fact is that AI is going to introduce more works. Why? Because, for example, for AI to operate, it needs a lot of data. And those data, we may have new people, data analytics, those people who collect data, who process those data, feed those data to AI for it to operate. So all these are human that will be able to make those AI perform their job the way it's supposed to perform. But also for us in the cybersecurity field, we know that AI has ability to enhance our cybersecurity, the way we protect our critical infrastructure, the way we protect our people, the way we protect our buildings, and so on. So basically there, AI can also support us in those kind of things that I've mentioned, cybersecurity-related issues. And from that point of view, then we have a lot of other jobs that can be created from it. So what I wanted to emphasize is that that notion that people have, fear of, I've heard here the challenges that was mentioned, fear of unknown, that probably AI will come and bring troubles to our jobs. AI will come and do this and that. Then I think those are the things that probably we should not have it in our minds. Number two, I wanted to emphasize, apart from AI, the technology itself. I remember when computer was introduced, when we were asked to take off shoes before we go into computer rooms, when people were scared that now we won't have people who can calculate, can do this and that. But nowadays, we have a number of people that are doing all these things alongside with those computers, or utilizing those computers, or feed those computers with info and things that they can perform for us. So definitely the same thing with AI or all other emerging technology. I think we are going to have the same thing. So that's one thing I wanted to emphasize, to get that fear out of us, that we need to embrace AI. We need to equip ourselves with knowledge, because at the end, if you're not aware of new technologies like AI, IoTs, and other technologies, big data analytics, and so on, then unfortunately, it may leave us behind. But if we keep ourselves with enough knowledge about this emerging technology, we secure it, and we empower our people, then definitely this is going to be a game-changing technology in terms of security. For example, AI supports us on enhancing those, how we authenticate people, on authentication, how we protect in terms of detecting threats in a magnitude way. The way we see threats and the way AI can detect those threats are completely opposite. For example, I remember the other time I was explaining to people the IoT and AI. When you pass through a certain house, the house starts pointing at people, seeing, lighting those, that particular area that you're passing by. All these technology came to enhance our security, came to enhance the way we do things. And we have to embrace it instead of getting scared that probably it's going to change the way we do things. It's going to probably take our jobs and so on. But on the other hand, also AI has challenge to our cyberspace. That's another thing I want to emphasize as well. That, for example, nowadays, those criminals who were doing phishing, back in time, they can perform phishing that probably you can be able to detect that this should be a phishing email or phishing attempt. But nowadays with AI, those kind of attacks have been sophisticated. A lot of people now have introduced things like ransomware as a service, RAS. They have introduced malware as a service, and all those kind of things where a lot of people are employed there and commit a lot of crimes to a lot of people around the world. So these are the challenges we have seen. And because of these challenges, we need to fine-tune ourselves, make sure that we're secure, and we also pay much attention to the advantages that comes along with those AI. And from there, then we can move forward with these technologies. And I believe it has a lot of positive impact to our lives. That's what I wanted to add.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you give me a round of applause, please, for that small presentation? If we can go and sit there, because our friend has come. Can you give a round of applause for Ruben Joram Biha, please? And he's going to do the presentation now of revolutionary gameplay and how AI transformed the video game experience.
Good evening, everyone. So, as the moderator already said, my name is Ruben. I'm here to speak about gameplay and AI. So before we start with the actual topic, I have to mention that I've been doing game development for 3.5, almost 4 years. So today I'll be taking you guys through how AI and games merge together or come together. So before I start saying or elaborating how AI and games come together, let's start with a bit of a background. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about AI up to this point. It's actually the main theme of this conference. So AI comes in very many forms or exists in different areas. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about ChatGPT, which is an AI which generates very intelligent answers. There is an AI about video generation, so you can just prompt an AI, and then it gives you a video based on your description. There is also an AI which can give you pictures. So I'm sure a lot of you have already interacted with these very mainstream services of AI. Another part is there is the issue of, let's say, spam filtering, which also uses AI. So there is all these different things that AI is used for. But I'm sure very few of you know that, or very few of you have an idea of how AI is used in games. So today I'm going to show you how AI and games relate. How does AI improve the gaming experience? How does AI make you as a player, when you play games, feel the game a little bit more with a better experience compared to when you're not using AI? So the main topics of today that I have, the first one is pathfinding. The second one is behavioral systems. The third is camera control. The fourth is physics. The fifth is animation control systems. So all these are very technical terms in terms of gaming, but they are very simple concepts, as we will see when we cover one by one. So starting with the first topic, which is pathfinding. So pathfinding, really, just ignore everything that's written there. Pathfinding is just you trying to, just like the word itself, you are trying to find the best suitable path from point A to point B. Now, pathfinding in games is a very crucial element, because for games that, let's say you have a very big environment. When I say environment, I mean anything that exists in a game, including the characters. Let's say if you have houses in the game, let's say if you have forests, whatever. So the environment, if it's big enough, I'm talking about games which are not like, let's say, Tetris. You know, Tetris, the environment is very small, right? Sorry. Yeah. So the environment of Tetris is very small. So for environments which are big enough, let's say in games like Call of Duty, a lot of you I know have played Call of Duty, Fortnite, you have this big environment, and then you have characters who are supposed to move in that environment. Now, pathfinding is when an opponent or an enemy character, which is not controlled by any other player, right, is trying to locate you as a player. So let's say I'm a player, right? I'm sitting right here, and the enemy, let's say, is at the corner there, right? That means the path that that enemy will take from there to here, that's the path. Now, that process is called pathfinding. So in games that are using AI, those enemies can use AI to determine the best possible route to take to reach a particular player. And this is important because you do not wish to be in a game where you're just sitting there and no one is attacking you. This is very important. If you're in a game, let's say you're playing Call of Duty, you sit here, you expect that an enemy, no matter how long you stand there, you expect that an enemy will eventually find you and kill you, right? So that's what pathfinding is. So pathfinding itself has three components, which is character movement, movement controls, and obstacles. So character movement is the movement of the actual characters, right? The movement controls is how that movement is controlled. You know, in movement we have many things. You have things like walking, you know, turning, jumping, and all that. And then we have the third, which is obstacles. So obstacles is anything that obstructs the character to reach the destination. So in pathfinding, you can have, for example, in Unity, you'll have things like nav mesh. It's called nav mesh, which is let's call it a tool that helps the character to find where it's going. Now, it's a very complicated technically to explain, but that's the overall idea of pathfinding. So to put it very simply, AI can make it instead of you writing very big chunks of code just to enable a character to move from point A to point B, you can just use a simple model that has that intelligence to know that, okay, this is an obstacle, okay, I need to turn left or right, and all these models are trained. All these models are you fill them with some intelligence just to enable them to navigate the game environment. So that's pathfinding. And the overall effect of using AI in this is that you have enemies which are very quick or which are very efficient in finding the players, which makes the game more engaging. You know, you sit here, an enemy will find you. That's the main aim of pathfinding. So we have some few videos. This is just a case video game which is created in Tanzania. It's called Deviant. We have, as you can see, let me try to play one. this. This side. Huh? Okay. I want to play the first one. As you can see in the video, we have those two characters. That was a very short video, but we have those two characters. The blue character is the player, right? The player is controlled using these joysticks as the ones that you see on the screen. Let me just try to replay. Okay, but the idea is that you have two characters. The one is the blue one. The player is the blue one. The enemy is the one with the white hairs. So, as you have seen, when the player, the blue character, tries to run away from the enemy can quickly know that the player is running away from me, and it starts to run after the player, right? So this is a very basic implementation of pathfinding. There can be it can be very advanced and complex than this, but the idea is that you have two characters or any number of characters, they need to find their path towards something. That's pathfinding. Okay, next slide. The other thing is, the other part that I want to cover today is behavior systems. So behavior systems is very simply put, is a system of behaviors for the characters in the game. A system of behaviors mean that how are the characters reacting to the whatever, let's say, the input from the player, or how are the characters reacting to changes in the environment, right? So all of these questions comprise what we call behavior systems. So in behavior systems, we have state management and we have decision making. In every game that you ever play, right, all those characters need to have a certain set of behaviors that they exhibit, right? If a character is a player, that means it's controlled by a player. It will have different behavior systems than the enemy. The enemy is, okay, the enemy can be also controlled by another player, but if the enemy is controlled by, let's say, a computer that you're playing against, or a phone, right? The set of behaviors that you have in the enemy is very different from what you have in the players. So, how does AI come in all of this, right? Now, in technical terms, we have something called reinforcement learning. I know AI practitioners can have an idea of what that is, but basically, it's a form of AI which you are teaching something to behave in a certain way by giving it rewards when it's successful and by, punishing it when it's not successful. So it's like you're training a baby, right? If you have a baby and you want to train it, let's say to hold a cup, right? So you will show the baby how to hold the cup, right? The baby will be observing you, and then after that, you give the baby the cup so that it can hold for itself. Now what happens is, the baby will either grab the cup correctly, or it can grab the cup in the wrong way. Now, obviously, we don't want to hit babies, but you can put some sort of mechanism to reward when the baby has successfully held the cup the way you taught it to, and some sort of mechanism to discourage the act of it holding the cup wrongly. So you can say, let's say, you can clap for the baby once it's, let's say, it has held the cup correctly, and then you can say, maybe nod your head in denial, just to show it that the way you have held the cup is not correct. So that is basically the essence of reinforcement learning. Now, how does that relate to what I'm trying to say? In behavior systems, we have said that behavior systems is the way a character behaves in the game, right? So, from the conversation about reinforcement learning, you have, let's say you have a character, right? You are trying to teach it. Let's say you have an enemy character which is controlled by the computer. You are trying to teach it how to play the game better when it's playing with the player. Every player in a game has their own style of playing, right? So now, if you have reinforcement learning, what will happen is that enemy will be observing what the player is doing and learning. So if you like to use, let's say you're playing Call of Duty, you like to shoot a gun a certain way, right? Reinforcement learning, if the player is using reinforcement learning, the enemy, it will eventually pick up your behaviors and then improve itself, right? So you will have, if you are used to do something, eventually the enemy will know, oh, this person likes to do this, this, and this. So even the enemy itself improves in the way it plays with you, So that is the basic idea behind behavior systems. So with AI, you can have this very dynamic way of making these enemies interact with the player, which in turn makes the game very engaging, because it's not constant, right? It keeps changing, it keeps improving, it keeps giving you these very engaging challenges that you constantly will have to overcome. A very straightforward game is very boring, right? If you play a game that is the enemy is the certain way all the time, you get bored quickly. So this reinforcement learning helps us to get that diversity and to keep the game fresh, regardless of how much time you play it. So that's about behavior systems. I think we have a video here. Yeah, as we have seen, we have these two characters. The blue one is let's say it's the player. The ego one is with the white hair is the enemy. Now, as you have seen, the player has been very active, throwing punches, kicks, Now, with reinforcement learning, the enemy is learning all those moves from the player. What will happen eventually is that the enemy will have more knowledge of the player and how to counteract when the player does certain things. So that's basically what I mean by behavior systems. Going forward to the next topic, which is camera control. Okay, now camera control is a very, usually it's a very forgotten but a very important part of gameplay, because how the game or how things are displayed in the game, how certain actions are conveyed, what you see and what you don't see, the times that you see something and you don't see something matters very much while playing a game. So in camera control, AI is very useful. For example, in Unity, Unity is one of the platforms that is very popular in making games. We have something called Cine Machine. This is an automatic and AI-driven tool that helps you to, if you're making a game, to use that camera very dynamically and very smoothly when you're trying to switch angles, because it can be able to determine, like what to show without you telling it, what to show at what time, and when to follow the player or the enemy, when to switch an angle, when to increase an angle, when to reduce an angle, how to avoid obstacles. Because as you move with the player, you have, the camera can also, not only players meet obstacles, but also the camera as it's moving in the environment, it can also, it can also find obstacles. So how the camera avoids those obstacles can also be very hugely enhanced by using AI. I'm told my time is almost up, so I'll just be quick here. Yeah, as you can see in this environment, we have all these poles and all the player, you can see the player is moving around. So how the camera follows the player when it goes right or left, and how the camera avoids these poles that are in the environment can also be very hugely enhanced by AI. That is the point I was trying to make. The other topic, yeah, the other topic is physics. Physics in a game, this is not the study of motion and all that. Physics in the game means everything that is related to how the player, let's say, interacts with the environment, meaning collisions, you have the gravity, and all real-world physical-related things in the environment. So in physics, AI plays a part in the sense that when trying to, let's say, things like collision, in a game, things must collide. Things must collide. One thing must collide with the other so that we know, what has happened in that particular instance. If you hit somebody, I mean a character, we use collision to detect that that character has been hit. That character has been hit. So AI can greatly simplify the process of trying to know when a character is hit or when something has hit another thing very accurately.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If you can just say your last statement, then we can be on discussion. Maybe people can ask you a question, please. Thank you. Give a round of applause for him, please. I think from his presentation, some of you can make video games now. If we can sit there, and I ask the DG just to say a few sentences on employment and ICT and emerging technology. If you come also in the board. Gigi, can you say something here? Tafadhali. Gigi, come. Yes, come. Wait. Thank you. Yeah, no. He's telling me to sit on the end, and I say, no, this session has got a lot of changes. So we are trying to incorporate many things, yeah? There was this presentation of this lady, I think, Sarah, which had something to do with enhancing employment. So I wanted the DG just to say a little bit, you know, just briefly, on how has the situation of employment, all right, improved in our country since the introduction of these technologies. And as every time new technologies come in, like now artificial intelligence and all this, is there any increase in matters of employment? Is there any increase in newer jobs coming? Is it giving us advantages and plus? So we can argue all the time on the technology as well. You see, because people have certain fear that, oh, this might take our job. Yep. And we want to say, no, there are more jobs. And there's always an increase on that one. If you can say something on this, it's important.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mlaki, for such a question. It's a very interesting question because I need to start from 1994-95, when we liberalized our telecommunication industry and we opened the market for private sector to participate in the telecommunication industry of Tanzania. If you can remember very well, when automation started at that time, there were some people who used to be employed in telecommunication companies and sometimes in ships, whose work they used to be called as telephone operators. I think you remember the story of telephone operators. When automation started, those jobs were lost overnight, because machines at that time were able to figure out that this phone is supposed to be relayed to which phone, automatically. So those people used to listen to phone and then connect, their job were wiped out. Why I'm giving this example is because whenever there is a new technology coming, always there's a displacement of jobs that are happening, especially those types of technology that they create some sort of paradigm shift, some sort. I don't say completely paradigm shift. But during that time, they were saying this automation is not good, it's making people unemployed and things like that. But normally, if you follow the definition of any technology, when a new technology comes and it is getting diffused, it will displace things. And then after time, people will start to do innovation, because innovation is very keen around that technology. So what those people who used to be called telephone operators in 1994, going back, now there are those people who we call them call center officers. And actually, call centers, they have employed thousands and thousands of people more than telephone operators. So many technologies they follow that path. Now we talk about AI, there are people who are fearing, right? So fear is like a knee-jerk effect. When something comes, people will start to fear. But I believe that when we start to do innovation, for example, we have heard today about, of course, we are about to enter into memorandum of understanding with Amaware with regards to foundational model of large language model of Kiswahili. We call it foundational because that's a baseline model. But on top of that model, we'll have specialized model of pharmacists, doctors, teachers, pretty much every profession. Now, whenever you see any model developed of that sort, you have the following specialists that they need to be able to handle that model. One of them is, we call them AI ethicists, someone who is going to look at the code and see, like, for example, if we develop a large language model of Kiswahili, does it have ethics which are connected to the culture of Tanzania? So this is a type of new specialization that they are not there now. Then we have chatbot designers, people who are going to do the designing of it. And then if we use that large language model to deploy it in the robot or things like that, so we have robot controllers. So basically, these new technologies, they're creating new types of roles which are not here. Now, whenever we start to see that the new type of role which are not here, we'll be faced with two challenges. There's the challenges of those people who are specialists in ICT, but they need to be reskilled into new technologies that are required in an AI era. That's number one. And there is other specialists who are going to be using AI that they need to be retrained. So there are two things, retraining and reskilled. So this is the challenge that is facing us. It's a challenge that we need to follow to ensure that everybody is not left behind. So that's how I can answer your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, DG. Give a round of applause to the DG for this. This is always very challenging, and he has explained it very, very easily. Just to look at your video games then, are there video games made locally? Is there some Tanzanians making video games, and those video games are available, where you can say we encourage many young people to make video games which are localized? Is that thing there? I know you've explained very well on how the AI works for video games. I'm looking now at it on a slightly higher level for that.
Thank you very much for the question. To answer your question very shortly is that yes, they are there, and it's not one. There are, as of now, I know almost like 4 companies that are making games. But so far, even the videos that I've been showing you today, all is a game that is very locally based. I am part of that team that created that game, right? So, yes, video games are there. We just need you guys to play them, right? Just play them, give us feedback and all that. But yes, that expertise is very, very available locally.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Do you take some of our young people's games which they have and internalize them in the system, or you create new games? I'm looking at things like Marede. I don't know whether you guys played Marede or something like that. Is this possible to put, or you have to put all these wild Rambo things like the one you're showing there?
That's very possible, although that's not the approach that we have taken up to now, because what we have done so far is we have started from scratch, basically, with everything. All the characters that you see there, it's not like they were downloaded from somewhere. All those characters, it's a very Tanzanian, I think he's from Iringa or something. He sat down and created those characters. You see the characters moving around, the animations, everything is locally made. You see the characters interacting, throwing punches, running around. All those systems are made by Tanzanians locally here. So, to answer your question, we have not yet like taken something and integrated into the game. Rather, we have just started from scratch with everything that you have seen there.
Did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, first of all, I must congratulate you for what you're doing, and it's really impressive to know that there are at least more than 4 companies that they are dealing with game design. I used to be involved in animation since 2004 in DIT. I was among those people who created the program of animation. I've watched your game. The sound is very good, at least from the vantage point that I've said there. But I wanted to ask you about character animation. It looks those characters, they're not African characters.
I don't know. I don't know how you would define African, but yes, they look very Western, if that's what you're trying to point out to. But the idea is that those are just animals that have evolved because of some chemical reaction that happened. So we have these, for example, the 2 characters that were on this video, one is a cat, the blue one, the other one is an eagle. You have seen it has some sort of beak and those white hairs, which is a characteristic of eagles. So yes, you can't say they do not have an African theme, like they are not in Maasai wear or something. But also, just to point out, that is also one of the things that was in conversation, to include characters that are very, relevant to the African context. Okay. You know, adding, let's say, those traditional clothes, traditional, bracelets. Right. Yeah. So yeah, they are not. They do not. If you look at them, they do not straight point out to Africanism. Yes. However, that conversation is there, and we hope in the future that we can add more characters which are, let's say, representing the African culture more vividly.
Thank you. And congratulations for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody in the floor who wants to ask one question or make one intervention before we close up here? No, everybody is happy on this one. So, there's one there, please. If you give him the microphone, please. Just be brief. And then when we do that, we'll have the last word from Kileo, then from the guy from Mbiha, and then the DG, and then we'll close. Please.
Thank you. I think congratulations for the game. I was curious a bit on how you did the reinforcement learning. I'm assuming, let's say you did Unity. Was it like you are taking the environment feedback, you sending it to some training pipeline, and then the pipeline is giving you the feedback to give you action for Unity to take this? So I'm just curious a bit on the process you did to do reinforcement for your character, because I think it could be extended in something like robotics, because you don't have a lot of data to train these physical characters. So what you could do is you can use the reinforcement learning to train a lot of those environments and then fine-tune it to actually robotics. So can you talk a bit maybe briefly on your training process of thank you. Okay,
if you can answer that, Mbiha, and then say a few closing words as well after what you've answered, then Kileo will have also the floor for that.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I know you're a very technical AI guy, so when I said reinforcement learning, I expected a question from you. But to answer your question, in reinforcement learning, what you do basically is you have an environment, right? You have a character, right? The environment has, you set up some sort of points let's say if I'm training an AI to recognize that if I hit something, that's a bad thing, right? What happens is you'll have that point of reference that this, when I hit this, it's a wrong thing, then I shouldn't hit this, right? So what happens is there are things called ML agents in Unity with the form of machine learning agents. So those agents, the character that is going to hit acts as an agent. And then there is a way that you set up the whole process in such a way that there is a model that collects that feedback, right? So if something good, I mean, if something that you want happens and it has happened, then the model reinforces its understanding that, okay, this is good. But if something happens and it's not what you wanted to happen, then the model has to relearn that this is not what is supposed to happen. Rather, what I did prior, which was right, is what is more required to happen. So I understand it's not very technical, but that's the overview of the whole process. Yeah.
Okay, just a closing statement. You have anything to say for closing?
For closing, first of all, thank you very much for being very attentive to my speech. The other thing I would like to say is we have a game. It's called Deviant. I don't know, you guys go check it out. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Can you give it to Kileo, please?
Thank you very much for the good work that you're doing. Actually, first I have a concern. Currently in Tanzania, we have a project called Child Online Protection. We are protecting kids with all those threats that we find them online. And a lot of our kids, they love playing games. And one of the things that we normally ask these people who are behind those games is to put control measures that they can protect those kids who are playing with those games that they created. Because sometimes you find those kids are playing games with people that they do not know, and eventually later on they find themselves in a lot of troubles. So what are the control measures you put in place for those games that we can assure the audience that it will be, they are going to be safer for kids to play and they cannot be exposed to any external threats? That is one. Number two, I would just also want to conclude is that today I was outside there. I met 3 students from University of Dar es Salaam. One was telecom, another was electrical, and another one from engineering, computer engineering. So that teaches me that when you're dealing with AI, you may need a lot of skills that will eventually produce a lot of jobs for the startups, for our youth and so on. An example, for example, we have for AI to operate, it needs sensors. We need those who will create those sensors to detect people and other things. We need data. How are we going to feed those data to those equipments? We need someone who will write codes to make sure that AI perform a certain activity. So we need engineers, software engineers, and so on. So I think it's for us to think outside the box, create more opportunities when new technologies arise or a new technologies comes at our doorsteps, so that at least we can not only find ourselves in fear, but instead find ourselves in a position where now we start thinking on innovations, how we can create more jobs on this new technology, like Doctor there how he mentioned clearly that this is how I think all of us need to look at it in that way. That's what I wanted to finalize on my statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DG. Just to...
Well, to sum up, is like the way you posed the question to me, that we need to look at these technologies as a means on how we can innovate, and through innovations that we can ensure our economy will always grow and compete with others. And youth are the one that we depend on. They are the one that they use technology all the time. It's difficult to see a gamer who is of my age. So I was thrilled to see my colleague here that is into games. In the area of computer games, there is a big demand of African games. That's why I asked you about the character animation. There are many stories in Africa from different tribes which have not been animated, and which I think if you go to that area, it's an area that there's no competition at all, and people, they would like to get those kind of stories as games, and they can be sold anywhere. So I urge you to continue to do what you're doing. ICT Commission will support you in any way that you want us to support, to ensure that also we become a game engine of Africa if possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for the presenters then. Yeah? Do you want to answer, or you can answer outside? Do you want, his question, you want to answer? Okay, I'll give you 1 minute just to answer, yeah?
Okay, so my colleague here asked about how we control the safety of children while they're playing games. So, first of all, just to put it very clear, is that the game that we have made is safe for everyone to play. From kids of 3 years to, I don't know, 100-year-old people. It's not restrictive as to who can play. That's one. It's very safe. The content is very safe to everyone. But the controls that are usually around games, just to avoid, kids playing things which they are not supposed to access, is first of all, all these mobile game distributors, the likes of PlayStation, Xbox, you have Google Play Store, you have Apple Store, all these, before you put anything in there as a game, you have to follow a series of answering questions just to make sure that you have correctly labeled your game. Let's say if it's not supposed to be accessed for children who are under 18, you have to specifically specify that. If they are not supposed to be accessed for children who are under, let's say, 13, you have to specifically specify that. And these processes are usually, they are very, let's say, rigorous, because you cannot upload anything, because they cross-check. You cannot upload anything that is in the realm that is not accepted.
Thank you. Yeah. Right, thank you. That's what we have time for. I want to return the podium to the overall moderator. Please, let's take a photo here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A round of applause to them, please. For those who have read the Bible, David was appointed king due to his faithfulness, but humbleness as well as patience. I want to thank you all who have been patient enough to be here until this hour. May I ask our living God to give you a certain kingdom in your life for your patience and your humbleness. We have come to the end of day 3. Tomorrow we have a very different timetable. I would like to call my colleague here to give you the announcement for tomorrow and today. And I thank you so much. And for those who are humble enough to clap for me, you will be blessed. Thank you very much.
Yes, hello again. It's time for announcements. As we prepare for a closing ceremony, again, I would like to remind you to use our own technology to ensure that you are giving us a feedback. We have a QR code display on the screen. So if you have any thoughts or something you like to ask, you didn't get an opportunity to ask during the sessions or the session during the day since the opening ceremony. So you can scan, send your question, your thoughts, or any comments. Also, I would like to encourage you to share your thoughts, photos, and highlights on social media. But when posting, please, use hashtag for today is hashtag day3, hashtag Taiki 2024. Thank you. For tomorrow, obviously we are going to start very early tomorrow. Our session will start at 8:30 in the morning. And breakfast will be served from 7 a.m. until 8:15. And the buffet will be closed at 8:15 in the morning. So after the buffet closed, no one will be able to get a breakfast. So please make sure you come early tomorrow and get your breakfast. Obviously, continue networking because our breakfast is a networking breakfast. So you start engaging with our presenters, our moderators, while we're having breakfast. So please come early and enjoy the networking breakfast. And the first session will begin around 8:30 a.m. in the morning. Thank you. So again, I'll just repeat in Swahili. Ndugu washiriki, tunapojiandaa kufunga siku ya tatu, siku ya leo ambao kongamano letu limefunguliwa rasmi na Mheshimiwa Waziri wa Habari, Mawasiliano na Teknolojia ya Habari. Nawakumbusha tena kwamba kama kuna mtu yeyote hakupata nafasi ya kuuliza swali wakati wa zile sessions zinaendelea kuanzia asubuhi mpaka sasa hivi, unaweza ukascan kwenye QR codes iliyoko mbele ya screen hapa, ukauliza swali, ukatuma maoni au ukatuma kitu chochote kile ambacho unaona kwamba tunaweza either tukaimprove au kuuliza swali kwenye specific session au panel discussion. Lakini vile vile wakati najua wengi wetu tumepiga picha humu, kwa hiyo wakati mna share picha kwenye social media, tunawaomba muendelee kutumia hashtag, obviously unatag ICT Commission, tuko kwenye Instagram, tuko kwenye X na tuko kwenye LinkedIn. Kwa hiyo tunawaomba muendelee kushare, lakini tunaomba mtumie hashtag ya kwanza ni hashtag day3, lakini ya pili ni hashtag Taiki 2024. Kwa ajili ya kesho, kongamano letu kesho siku ya 4 litaanza saa 2:30 asubuhi. Kwa hiyo kabla ya kuanza kutakuwa kuna chai ambayo itatolewa kuanzia saa 1 kamili asubuhi mpaka saa 2:15. Na baada ya hapo hakutakuwa tena na muda wa chai. Na kongamano litaanza saa 2:30 asubuhi kesho. Kwa hiyo nawashukuru sana, karibuni sana, na obviously namkaribisha MC aweze kuja kumkaribisha mkurugenzi kwa ajili ya kufunga. Okay, nimeambiwa nimkaribishe. Okay, I would like to call upon the Director General of ICTC, Dr. Nkundwe Mwasaga, for sharing a wrap-up of today and a closing remark. A round of applause to our Dr. Nkundwe Mwasaga. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Tumaini. You're so kind for this opportunity to just wrap up what we have discussed today. We had a very eventful day, an opening ceremony for our conference, which was very successful, to be honest. And we had a number of presentations which was covered today in the area of an AI-powered and knowledge society, where we have a number of presentations. The moderator was Dr. George Muramura, and we had a presentation from European Union. We had a presentation from the Director of Digital Transformation City of Tampere, and other presentations which were very, very insightful. And then we had an event of UNESCO, which they were launching a study on how to assess the readiness of AI of Tanzania, of which will lead to other programs which are going to be implemented in our country. And that session was moderated, of course, with experts from the UNESCO. And then we had a session that has to do with development of Swahili language model by experts from Almaware of Italy. And this was moderated by Dennis Karugaba. And tomorrow, the good news is we are going to sign an MOU with Almaware in the morning, and which will lead to the bigger project of developing foundational model of Swahili in Tanzania, and which we have seen and from their presentation is an open source. So being an open source, it can help other people to create specialized model on top of it. This is a very exciting news for our country because it solidifies Kiswahili to be a language that can be used in AI era, and it's a good news for other developers. We had a presentation or a session which was moderated by our Shireen, which was very exciting. We held a lot of good things that we can share together from experts from Italy and other places, and also from one of our own ESA. And the session which was just moderated by Mr. Teofil Imlaki, I was a part of them, and with also my colleagues, Kileo, and a gentleman that created game, which is very exciting for us to see that we are into that area of ICT, and the games nowadays, they use AI, especially to track the movement of the characters. I've been moved with that, and as ICT, we want to work with them to ensure that we expand that group of gamers. Like the way I commented in the session is games, there is a void in the area of African games. So the more people we get who are going to chart out a way in that area, the better for us. And of course, even the large language model can be used in such a kind of area because there are many applications once you have a foundational model. So what we are going to sign tomorrow is a new journey in our area to solidify Kiswahili and to be truly the language that can be used and deployed anywhere in the world. So with these few things, I want to say to you, thank you very much for devoting your time up till now. We are looking forward to see you in the morning. We are going to start a much area tomorrow. We have the full programs. We want to ensure that all the experts, they can share us great knowledge that they have and making TAIC really an exciting event. So with these few words, I thank you very much. Looking forward to see you tomorrow. Asante sana.